Hello students, today I am going to talk about recombinant DNA technology. Recombinant DNA technology involves artificial modification of the genetic constitution of a living cell by introduction of foreign DNA through experimental techniques. The synonyms of recombinant DNA technology are genetic engineering, biotechnology, or DNA cloning. Pioneering work of Paul Berg, Herbert Boyer, and Stanley and Cohen in early 1970s led to the development of recombinant DNA technology. So what is a recombinant DNA? Composite DNA molecule comprising covalently linked segments from two or more sources is called a recombinant DNA or a hybrid DNA or a chimeric DNA. This chimeric DNA comes from the word chimera, which is a monstrous fire-breathing creature from the Greek mythology, and it is a combination of three animals: lion, goat, and a snake. So this denotes the hybrid nature of the recombinant DNA. That means we take DNA from two or more than two sources. So what are the tools of recombinant DNA? Which tools we need? We need enzymes, mainly restriction endonuclease enzyme and DNA ligase. We need the passenger DNA, which we need to amplify or clone, and we need the vector or vehicle DNA. Some enzymes used in recombinant DNA technology are type 2 restriction endonuclease, DNA ligase, DNA polymerase 1, reverse transcriptase, polynucleotide kinase, terminal transferase, exonuclease 3, bacteriophage lambda exonuclease, and alkaline phosphatase. Restriction endonuclease, they cleave DNA at specific base sequences. DNA ligase joins two DNA molecules or fragments. DNA polymerase 1 fills gaps in duplexes by stepwise addition of nucleotides at 3' ends. Reverse transcriptase makes a DNA copy of an RNA molecule. Polynucleotide kinase adds a phosphate to the 5' end of a polynucleotide to label it or permit ligation. Terminal transferase adds homopolymer tails to the 3' ends of a linear duplex. Exonuclease 3 removes nucleotide residues from the 3' ends of a DNA strand. Bacteriophage lambda exonuclease removes nucleotides from the 5' ends of a duplex to expose single-stranded 3' ends. And alkaline phosphatase removes terminal phosphates from either the 5' or 3' end or both. So what are the steps of recombinant DNA technology? First, we have to cut the DNA at precise locations. Then, we have to select a small molecule of DNA capable of self-replication. Then we have to join two DNA fragments covalently to make the recombinant DNA or rDNA. Then we have to move recombinant DNA from the test tube to a host cell where it will replicate. Then we have to select or identify host cells that contain the recombinant DNA. So first step is to cut the DNA segments at precise locations. So DNA segments are cut with the help of molecular scissors, which are restriction endonuclease enzymes. They recognize and cleave DNA at specific DNA sequences to generate a set of similar fragments. Restriction endonucleases are bacterial enzymes which restricts viral infection by degrading the invading nucleic acid. That is why they are known as restriction endonucleases. So here in this picture we can see the chromosomal DNA which have two cleavage sites which are recognized by restriction endonuclease enzymes. So these are recognition sequences. So some restriction endonucleases like EcoRI, they make staggered cuts like this to leave sticky ends. And some restriction endonucleases like PVU2, they make clean cuts to make the blunt ends. So here we have to know a term known as palindrome. So what is a palindrome? When read in the 5' to 3' direction, the sequence on the top strand is identical to that of the bottom strand. So here, when we read from 5' to 3', the sequence is GAATTC. And in the bottom strand also, when we read from 5' to 3', it is the same, GAATTC. So this type of sequence is known as palindromic sequences. So usually these types of sequences are recognized by the restriction endonuclease enzymes. So here the restriction endonuclease enzyme TEC-I make staggered cuts to form the cohesive ends or sticky ends. And He3 or Haemophilus influenza 3 restriction endonuclease, it makes clean cuts to form the blunt ends. Next is the selecting DNA capable of self-replication, which are known as cloning vectors. A cloning vector is a DNA molecule that carries foreign DNA into a host cell, which is usually a bacterial or yeast cell, where it replicates, producing many copies of itself along with the foreign DNA. Features of a cloning vector. The cloning vector must have the ability to replicate autonomously in an appropriate host, which may be a bacteria or yeast. It must have a cloning site that can be cut by many restriction enzymes to insert the foreign DNA. There must be a method of selecting for host cells containing a vector with foreign DNA, which is usually accomplished by selectable markers for drug resistance. It must be relatively easy to recover from the host cell. Types of cloning vectors. First is the plasmid, which is a small circular extrachromosomal DNA molecule found in bacteria. Next is phage, which is a derivative of bacteriophage lambda, which infect E. coli molecules. These are linear DNA molecules. Next is cosmid, which is a combination of plasmid and phage. Next is bacterial artificial chromosomes, which are constructed artificially. Then yeast artificial chromosomes, mammalian artificial chromosomes, and E. coli bacteriophage P1 based vector. Next step is joining two DNA fragments covalently. That is joining of the passenger DNA and the vector or vehicle DNA. So the enzyme DNA ligase is used to join the DNA segment with the vector. So here we can see this is the vector DNA and these are the fragments of the passenger DNA, and these fragments are ligated with the help of DNA ligase to form the recombinant vector. Next step is the moving of recombinant DNA from test tube to a host cell. This can be done by several means. First is transformation, which is uptake of free DNA by bacteria when both are incubated at 0 degree centigrade in calcium chloride solution, followed by rapid shift of temperature to 37 to 43 degree centigrade. Next process is electroporation, by which foreign DNA is introduced by applying high voltage pulse. Next process is bacterial conjugation, which can occur naturally, and this conjugation is the process by which there is transfer of genetic materials between bacterial cells, either by direct cell to cell contact or by forming a bridge like connections between them. This is the picture showing the transfer of recombinant DNA from the test tube to a host cell. So this is the recombinant DNA having the plasmid DNA and the passenger DNA, which we need to clone or amplify. So by the process of either transformation or electroporation or conjugation, the recombinant factor is introduced into the bacterial cell where it replicates, and the bacterial cell along with the genetic material, they replicate. Next step is the selecting of host cells that will contain the recombinant DNA. It is usually accomplished by selectable markers for drug resistance. For example, PBR322 plasmid contains two genes that confer resistance to tetracycline and ampicillin antibiotics. So this is the plasmid PBR322 vector where there are two genes which confer resistance to ampicillin and tetracycline. So this is the picture showing how we select the colonies which contain only the recombinant DNA. So here we are using the plasmid PBR322. It has the ampicillin and tetracycline resistant genes, and it is cleaved at the ampicillin resistant element by the endonuclease, restriction endonuclease PST1, and at that portion the foreign DNAs are ligated with the help of DNA ligase. So where the ligation is successful, the ampicillin resistance element is disrupted and the tetracycline resistance element remains intact. So we have to choose those colonies which are resistant to tetracycline but not resistant to ampicillin. So those colonies have the recombinant DNA. So colony selection and purification results in so-called DNA library. What is a gene library? A gene library is defined as a collection of living bacterial colonies that have been transformed with different pieces of DNA from the organism that is the source of the gene of interest. A gene library consists of two types, genomic library and cDNA or complementary DNA library. A genomic library contains DNA fragments that represent the entire genome of an organism. But in cDNA library, only the complementary DNA copies of the mRNAs are cloned. Because a cDNA library is derived from mRNA, the library contains the coding region of expressed genes only, with no introns or regulatory regions. In this video, you can see the overall process of gene cloning.
The first step in cloning a gene is to isolate the DNA from the organism that contains the desired gene. The isolated DNA is purified and then fragmented with a restriction enzyme. Restriction enzymes used in cloning produce staggered cuts in specific sequences in the DNA, generating fragments with cohesive ends. Each fragment has a single-stranded sequence of nucleotides on its ends that is capable of hybridizing with DNA that has been fragmented with the same restriction enzyme. The DNA fragments are then incorporated into plasmids. The type of plasmid used for cloning has a single restriction site, and when cleaved by the restriction enzyme, generates the same cohesive ends that are in the fragments of the DNA to be cloned. The cohesive ends of the plasmid and DNA fragments now line up, and the enzyme, DNA ligase, is used to form phosphodiester bonds. The next step is to incorporate the plasmids into bacterial host cells by transformation. Each cell contains a different segment of DNA from the original organism. Taken together, these cells represent a DNA library. The cells can now be plated out on an agar medium. The colony of cells containing the desired cloned gene can then be identified and isolated.
Next is how to search a gene of interest from genomic or cDNA library. For that, we have to take help of the DNA probes, which is a segment of DNA or RNA labeled with P32 containing nucleotide, which recognize a complementary sequence. These are used to search libraries for specific genes or cDNA molecules by blotting and hybridization technique. In this video, we can see the process of DNA hybridization or
At high
blotting.
temperatures, double-stranded DNA will denature or separate into single strands. When the temperature is lowered, the two strands will anneal because of the base pairing interactions of the complementary strands. If the nucleotide sequences are similar, complementary strands from different sources will also anneal. This is called hybridization, to indicate that each strand of DNA came from a different source. Regions of double-stranded DNA in which the respective single strands hybridize to one another are said to be homologous, or have similar or identical nucleotide sequences. The high specificity of base pairing interactions between complementary strands of DNA can be used to locate a specific nucleotide sequence in a sample. If the DNA from one source is immobilized by attachment to a solid surface such as nitrocellulose, homologous DNA from another source will hybridize and be retained by the immobilized DNA. This is the basis for various DNA probe techniques. Non-homologous DNA will not attach.
Blotting or hybridization is the process of visualization and identification of a specific DNA, RNA, or a protein among thousands of molecules. There are three types of blotting techniques. Number one is southern blot, which is for analysis of DNA. Next is northern blot for analysis of RNA, and western blot for analysis of proteins. Steps of southern blot. First is cleavage of DNA at specific locations with restriction endonuclease. Next is the electrophoresis of the DNA fragments. Next is blotting or immobilization of the separated DNA fragments to a nitrocellulose sheath. Then hybridization of the fragments with radiolabel probe. Then specific DNA fragment of interest is visualized by autoradiography. This is the picture showing the different steps of southern blot. First, the fragments of unlabeled DNA cut with a restriction endonuclease are separated by the process of electrophoresis in agarose gel, and in the side the labeled DNA of known sizes are run as markers. Then after the electrophoresis is complete, these DNA fragments, separated DNA fragments, are blotted on a nitrocellulose paper, and this nitrocellulose paper is incubated in a sealed plastic bag with the radiolabeled DNA probe in buffer and placed for some time, and after that the labeled DNA probe hybridized to complementary DNA bands are visualized by autoradiography in an X-ray plate. So these are the process of southern blot. This video shows the process of southern blot.
The southern blot is used to verify the presence or absence of a specific nucleotide sequence in the DNA from different sources and to identify the size of the restriction fragment that contains the sequence. In this procedure, the DNA is isolated from each source and then digested with a specific restriction enzyme. The DNA restriction fragments are then loaded onto an agarose gel and the fragments separated by electrophoresis according to size, with the smaller fragments migrating faster than larger fragments. The fragments are made visible with ethidium bromide. The DNA is then transferred from the fragile gel to a nylon filter. Next, the radioactively labeled nucleic acid probe is added. The probe binds to complementary DNA segments. Note that the DNA segment being probed is not present in organism B. To detect the position of the radioactive probe, the nylon membrane is covered with an X-ray film. After development, the positions of the probe become visible.
Applications of recombinant DNA technology in diagnosis and detection of diseases, in therapeutics and research, in production of high-yielding commercial products, and in the field of agriculture. Diagnosis and detection of diseases. Recombinant DNA is a tool in understanding the structure, function, and regulation of genes and their products. Diagnosis of genetic diseases like Huntington disease, hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, Tay-Sachs disease, and sickle cell anemia. Human genetic testing for prenatal diagnosis, newborn screening, and carrier or heterozygote detection. DNA typing or fingerprinting or profiling for paternity testing and forensic analysis. Human genetic testing for prenatal diagnosis, newborn screening, and carrier detection. Here in this picture, we can see the amniotic fluid can be withdrawn and centrifuged. After that, the cells can be analyzed for sex determination and biochemical and enzymatic studies. The cells can be cultured for biochemical and chromosomal studies. Therapeutic and research. Production of pharmaceutical products like drugs, vaccines, hormones, etc. Gene therapy, which is the transfer of genetic material into the cells of an individual, resulting in a therapeutic benefit to the individual. It can be somatic cell therapy or germline cell therapy. Transgenic animals for basic research such as knockout mice for determining the function of a gene and for genetic disease models. Therapeutic and research. We can produce alpha interferon, which is used for therapy of leukemia, melanoma, and hepatitis produced by E. coli and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Antitrypsin can be produced, which assists emphysema patients produced by genetically modified sheep. Beta interferon can be produced, which is used for treatment of multiple sclerosis produced by mammalian cell culture. Bone morphogenic proteins can be produced. Colony stimulating factor, epidermal growth factor, erythropoietin, factor 8, gamma interferon, hepatitis B vaccine, human growth hormone, human insulin. And human insulin is the most prominent of all, which is used for the therapy of diabetes, better tolerated than insulin extracted from animals produced by E. coli. This is the picture showing the different steps of gene therapy. First step is to remove the bone marrow stem cells and to identify the defective gene. Then retroviruses are used to bring the normal gene into the bone marrow stem cell. Then the viral recombinant DNA carries normal gene into the genome. Then the genetically engineered cells are returned to the patient. Vectors for gene therapy, that is the means by which the normal gene is reintroduced into the body. It may be viral. There are two approaches. One is ex vivo approach and one is in situ approach. Non-viral vectors are also there like liposome or microinjection into the nucleus of the disease cell. Commercial products. Some commercial products like fortified milk or fortified meat can be produced by recombinant DNA technology. In the field of agriculture, transgenic plants can be produced. These transgenic plants are plants that carry a foreign gene. Example of transgenic plants are herbicide resistant plants and soybeans that produce more healthy combination of fatty acids. So this is about recombinant DNA technology. Thank you.